Okay, the thing that makes me feel vibrant, alive, I'd have to say that when I'm in the throes of creating something, when I'm doing something, I don't like to not be doing something. And the more room for surprises, meaning the more room for let me do this in a way that's not been done before, the more exciting, which also brings about a feeling of angst and futility and why am I doing this and why do I have to do this? Like preparing my speech for the conference that I can do. It's like, oh, whenever I'm in that mode, it's a double-edged sword. It's like the worst of my life. This is too hard, I can't do it. But then I do it and it's like the best of my life. I'm so glad I do this. So bottom line, if I'm in motion, creatively, I'm in bliss.
The thing that makes me feel alive and rich in spirit is so many different things. I mean, the joy. I love the emotion of joy, and I think that is our natural state. I think that is what all of us would feel if we got rid of the mental architecture that kind of blocks that. But I love being in the moment. I love the divine buzz that you feel when you're just really in the right now. It's just a magical, magical time.
I think for most people, when they have everything that they want, they've accumulated wealth and they've raised their children and they've done all the things that life has to offer, I think that most people are the happiest when they're giving. As a matter of fact, there's just been enough research to show that people find more pleasure in buying things for others than buying things for themselves. So I feel like when we demonstrate altruistic traits and we give, we're emulating that consciousness within us. And so I think that when people manifest and create everything they want, there's only one other thing they want to do, and that's that they want to contribute. When we're living by stress and survival and competition and forcing outcomes and trying to control effects because we're matter trying to change matter, we tend to be very selfish. And so when we begin to do those elevated things and we contribute in some way, we go from selfish to selfless. And I think that's when we truly open our heart. So we have to lay down the very thing we used our whole life to get what we want for something greater to occur. And I think when people manifest everything they want, the only thing they want to do is to give back. And so I really honestly believe that when you're contributing in some way, and you're making a difference in some way, I think that's what gets us up in the morning. That's what makes us feel like we have a mission bigger than us. And I think that's when we make the biggest difference. And by the way, I think that's when we really, really feel like at the end of our life that, that we've contributed to humanity in some way.
Oh, I feel most rich in spirit and most vibrant and alive. It's usually related to weather. Like I quite like being on the beach, and I love looking out over the sea, and I used to work on cruise ships, and looking out over the ocean at night when you've got all the stars in the sky and you can see the moon really clearly because there's no light pollution, probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. And I think for me, real thunderstorms and weather and clouds, and I just feel so alive in those weather conditions. I mean, obviously they're a little bit scary, but I really love weather. I love sunshine as well, but I think I feel most alive when I feel like an electrical storm brewing. That's a really, really positive time for me. That's something that gets me really excited. I like that.
Well, so many things. Friendship is one of the things that brings me alive. I suppose the giving and receiving of love is what brings me most alive. In terms of my work, writing, speaking, sharing my ideas with people, coaching, mentoring, all those things where I'm giving and receiving love, which is a lot of my life.
What makes me feel most alive and rich in spirit is when I'm doing things that are quite adventurous. I love being out in nature, but I love traveling. I love seeing new places, exploring new places, meeting people. I actually just love living life to the fullest. It's just incredible being back in physical life and getting another chance to live. The fundamental thing that death has taught me about living is, first of all, how valuable life is. We don't realize the value of what we have until we lose it. Most people don't realize the value of their life. I mean, today, when I look at how a lot of people are living their life in drudgery. You know, they're waiting for the weekend, and they're spending Monday to Friday doing something they don't like just to make a living. And I think, wow, what a waste. I could never go back to living that way again, because my life matters to me. It means so much to me. And it's so important to me to actually live every moment with passion. And I know that it doesn't mean that I'm going to be happy every single moment. Of course, there's going to be challenges. Of course, I'm going to even lose people to death, people who I love, and I'm going to miss them. But still, I want to live life to the fullest. I will never make a choice of doing something that I hate doing, like going to a job I hate going to, or spending hours on end doing something I hate doing, just because it's what is expected of me. I would never do that again.
What makes me rich in spirit and most alive? Do you know, just being myself. Just when I'm with people and I'm not pretending, I'm not trying to be some, you know, we all do that, don't we? We put on, not really a mask, but we, you know, you're at your work or you're with your friends or you're with family and you just be what you think is supposed to be there. And I've been working on my self-love project the last 2 years, and one of the most important things for me that I've learned is I love just being myself regardless of the environment. And it makes me feel really good. I didn't notice that would happen until I started doing it. Yeah.
I think the thing that makes me feel rich in spirit and alive and vibrant is when I practice self-care. And what I mean by that is when I just get in touch with that essential self, if you like, and get the resources I need. And so many of us, I think, forget what it is we need. I mean, I work massively hard and I just run myself into the ground and literally forget to top up my own batteries. Of course, I tell other people to do it all the time, but I never top my own up. Well, not never. I do now. But when I feel alive is when I remember the resources I need. So for me, it's being by the sea. And it can be as simple as that, a walk by the sea. Just get back in touch with that thing that makes me feel alive. And it's different for different people. I have a friend who absolutely has to have an open fire every single day of the year. And that makes her feel alive. And good luck to her. She won't stay in a hotel unless she knows there's an open fire. And that's honouring yourself. That actually is self-care, to really know what it is that makes you feel alive. So for me, get outside, just be by the sea. I can't do it every day. I live in Hertfordshire, but I do it as often as I can, and I diarise it now. So I may not be able to have a full holiday. I might just go somewhere for 2 hours and get my fix of the sea.
It's moments. You know, there are just moments where I drop into that space, and there is no rhyme nor reason to when they happen. I mean, they're usually, actually, that's not quite true, because it's usually when you change from one thing to another. So it can be as inane as going to the bathroom, like just, you know, you interrupt the flow of thought and boom, the whole world opens back up. It can be just in the midst of, you know, when I've been driving for an hour and just I pass some threshold and my thinking is done and the world opens up. It can be, I always remember driving down the coast of California coast from Big Sur down to LA, and you know, just timed it right with the sunset. And I remember thinking, you know, just, you know, if this is random chance, boy, did random chance get this right. You know, so sometimes it can be a moment like that. But I've just learned to enjoy them when they come and not try and chase them or get more of them, or you get plenty. Yeah.
What makes me feel really alive and vibrant is dancing. You know, every single culture in the history of humankind has had some sort of dancing, and I feel like we need it for our soul.
Riding my motorbike. It's awesome. It is like flying. It's the closest you get to flying. You're just, there's nothing around you. There's no metal chassis or windscreen. Yeah, you have the visor, but there's nothing in front of you. You know, it's just the road coming towards you. And when you're going around the corners, and it's one of these days where you feel like one with the bike, and the light is perfect, the sun is the perfect in the sky, and it's just there's something you can't think and ride a motorbike safely. You can't be in the past or future. You're absolutely forced in a way to focus on the here and now, and it's just absolutely liberating.
What makes me feel rich in spirit and alive and vibrant is actually love. You know, being full of love, it's like, that gentle smile. It's like moving along and running and jumping and allowing yourself to feel alive in that way. And I think that's the main thing that has allowed me to feel rich in spirit all my life. Is the love inside of me that I allow out, because in doing that, I allow my soul as well to come forward, that spiritual part of you.
I think what really helps me to feel vibrant and rich in spirit is when I give my all to the present moment. It's very easy in our manic society just to race out into the world and hit a target, cross a line, get to that destination, and that's part of our life, of course. But actually, when I feel most alive is when I forget about the future, it's when I forget about the destination, and it's when I pay attention to where I already am. And I've got two great Zen teachers who help me with this every single day. One is my daughter, Bo. She is a 7-year-old Zen master. And then I have Christopher, who is a 3-year-old Zen master. And they have so much fun with the present moment. And because they pay so much attention to the present moment, they find so much more in the present moment than I ever used to find. But because I get to hang out with them a lot and play with them, we hang out in the now and we have such a good time. So they're my teachers. They're the guys who help me feel most alive. And I feel most alive when I'm really in the present moment.